Easy. Hello, and thank you for joining me here at Real AM Bully Talk. My name is Cameron Diabas, and they're probably over there questioning yourself whether or not I have a bully. And you hear my bully barking? Well, EO told me I have a budget bully. I mean, she's got a freaking ferocious growl and shit. But I'm like, I still love her. But you know what my thing is I really want to highlight those top breeders out there in Washington, California, Oregon, Idaho, and Arizona. I know that there's a lot of up-and-coming kennels, those ones that are in the pillar of the bully community that have so much expertise to offer. We want to really be able to have a community that fosters support instead of bashing and knocking people down. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this. Without further ado, let's get on to the episode. All right, Bully World, guess what? We got Brittney Wylie on deck right now, and super excited. Brittney, is one of those female breeders, and you know what? I know I've talked about this before when we had Nicole Dryden on, and I said, well, I've been watching her type of thing. I'm not like a Facebook stalker or anything, but it's just I watch her mannerisms, and to me, that speaks volume to the person that is. And I really want to have Brittney be able to tell us what her story is, share a story with us, so we know what's underneath that bubbly person that we see. So, without any further delay, Brittney, what's your story? What everybody has one. What's tell us what about you. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm ready. I'm here.
Well, I'm a single mother of two. I've always been a huge animal lover. I've worked in the veterinary field for many years and worked with a lot of breeders. And funny enough, one day Ton came into our clinic and was talking about his breeding program and WCBB, and I got really intrigued. And I kind of wanted to look into it and learn more about it. So I did some research and I picked up a couple dogs. I picked up two English bulldogs and a exotic micro bully, and I just kind of went from there. And I started wanting to learn more about the breed. And of course, when I do something, I of course go balls to the walls with that stuff, and I buy up everything and I put a lot of money into it, and I go for it.
Right. So is he supportive of you, Ton? Did he give you any advice, or how did that work out?
Well, I talked to him a lot. He was always giving me advice. Anytime I asked him questions, he was always more than willing to answer questions for me and help me, make good choices and things like that. He's a very intelligent man. He knows a lot about the bully game, and he really knows a lot about just the way around it. I mean, he may not have been in it as long as some of these other people that I have met over the last year, but he knows the ins and outs of it and how to work it. He's met a lot of crazy people doing what he does, and I kind of wanted to follow that, but not in the sense of for money and whatever. It was more of just kind of as a hobby, because each of our dogs, out of I think we've had 8 litters in the last 2 years I've had. We make sure we donate at least one puppy out of each litter to a veteran, and that's kind of something that was important to me, because it's just there's a lot of when I was looking for a dog for my dad who's a veteran, we couldn't find one because nobody was doing things like that. Nobody was donating dogs to people. Nobody was doing anything that was helping the community and actually building up and trying to do stuff. Because you make a lot of money off of your dogs, whether it's golden retrievers or German shepherds or bullies or, $1 million show dogs, like Kobe. So there should be a way that you give back to the community somehow. And I feel that, donating a dog each litter, depending on, if there's one suitable for a person who's in that, age range or bracket or what they're looking for, it should be something they're doing. Because the thing is this isn't for some people, it's about the money. But for me, this isn't about the money. This is just a hobby to me. So.
Right. I love that. See, I would have known that about you had we not done this. I think that's like not just to suck up and say, "Oh, it's admirable," but God damn it, it really is. It's like we need more people like this. That you know, it's not just about the money. There's a lot of people make it about the money, and when I watch Tan from afar, you know, gives me a different persona. You know what I'm saying? It's a different persona that he gives versus, and he's just up there, right up there with Brad, right? But Brad
Mhm.
carries himself so much different. Brad just
Mhm.
really, like when you see his Facebook posts and all of that stuff, completely carries himself different. And it's, I'm not saying it's bad the way, you care that, how Tan comes across, but I'm just saying, you look at him like, oh man, it doesn't look like he would give you the time of day. But you're saying it's a complete opposite. He's in there, and
Mhm.
I love that, and I want to get more people to be able to understand him as well. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So what fuels your passion? Like, I mean, we talk about donating one pup out of the litter, but what fuels that passion? You got a full time job doing this as a hobby, but you know what? It's a hobby that sucks up a lot of time, and you know what I mean. And it's not an easy work hobby;
Mhm.
it's a hard work hobby. So what does that? What fuels your passion?
I absolutely love animals. It's always been something a passion of mine. I have always told myself I wanted to be a veterinarian, but with how expensive it is to go to school nowadays, it's kind of hard to be able to see that as a realistic thing. But on the plus side, being able to do this and being able to do the ultrasounds for people and doing the blood draws for people and doing all the grooming and things like that that people need and whatever they ask for I can do, and that's easy. Like I do the AIs and stuff like that for people. That's easy
Right.
for me, and that's something I can do now instead of having to wait until I have my degree. And people will come to me for questions and things like that, because I've been in
Mm-hmm.
that field for so long. But I'm hoping that now that I'm working more at a full-time job, I can actually, you know, do this more, like get more out of it, have more passion for it, and be able to expand more. Like I plan to buy a
Right.
house next year. I just got approved for this really nice rental, so we're moving. So it's just there's a
Nice.
lot of positives going on after having a lot of negatives over the last year. So it's just
A
really
lot of
cool.
pieces.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
pieces to your puzzle that are going. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And it's one of those things that you have to have a dream. And everything starts with a dream. And not only does it start with a dream, it starts with a single step.
Mhm.
And you hear it, you see all that stuff, and you go, oh shit, whatever. But it really does. And it could be the smallest step. As long as you're taking a small step every day to what you do, you'll be amazed at how far you go in a year's time. And
Mhm.
it's just those things. So, as in the way of influencers, kind of mentioned Tan, but who else is your influencers?
Well, in the recent year, I met John Kyneth, and he's really been a big influence in my life when it comes to making the proper steps forward to produce better bowls, to produce higher quality, to produce something that's gonna be something people like and are looking for, and things like that. So, and
Right.
he definitely has a good eye for things, and he knows exactly what he's looking for, and it's really cool because to be able to follow in that shadow and be able to see him grow and be able to say to yourself, yeah, okay, that is something that's achievable. Yes, that is something
Yes.
that's doable. You can come from nothing and be able to achieve a lot more because he has proven that. He has proven that he
Yes.
can you could turn your life around and become something completely different than what you were.
Something positive, supportive. Like he's always positive, always supportive. Just like other people. people start talking negative about you, and all of a sudden, you start going down the rabbit hole
Mhm.
instead of I'm a parent too, but what I've learned in my life is that, and I know you tell me, your kids, stop fighting, just ignore them, they're gonna go away. But yet, as adults, sometimes you just don't remember that. If people just don't want to argue with themselves, if you just said, you know what, I'm not gonna say anything, I'm just gonna ignore it and just move on, man. But you see it so many times, like back and forth Facebook stuff, and you're just like, God, so much of this could have been ended if you just would have slid the mouse over and clicked on the block button, you know. But we don't, like, we keep getting into it, So, and then what's the vision for your kennel now? I mean, what what prevents you from getting, like, say, kennel blindness?
Well, because of the fact that the possibilities are endless, and I always have to remember that all this is for my family and to help support my family. So I have to always remember I have to stay focused and I have to know what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to look for things that are sought after by other people. Like I'm picking up a female Frenchie soon, I think next month. And, I know that the Frenchies aren't moving as quickly as most right now.
Right.
But
Right.
the thing is eventually, Frenchies are going to come back because they are one of the top breeds in the country as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I dabble in a lot of breeds because I want to show my kids the different the different ways of life, the different circles of life. Like we have a pregnant bunny at home right now. We have ducks and chickens and geese, and they always lay eggs and hatch eggs, and we incubate those. So this kind
Right.
of this whole my whole philosophy with my actual kennel is just being able to teach my kids something, show my kids what life is
Mm-hmm.
like, show my kids how fragile life can be, and that life isn't something to be taking for granted, and to show that there's a lot of miracles in life, but there's also a lot of sadness and things that happen that are bad. And
Right.
it's kind of
Correct.
instead of doing it in a way that hurts my children, I'm showing them in a kind of a more positive way. And so my vision for my kennel is just kind of keep building it in different ways where like I can dabble in different bloodlines. Like I named my kennel Bullseye Bullies before knowing that there's actually a Bullseye bloodline. So I'm kind of curious about picking up something with Bullseye bloodline, to see what
Okay.
that looks like. I also hopefully eventually will be getting a Kobe dog here somewhere in the bloodline. I kind of want, honestly, I kind of want to get a Kobe so I can mix it with the bloodlines I already have to see like how small can they get, how built can they get, like what can we do with these bulls, and what can they bring us. I'm pretty sure out of the litter I just had with Mia and Donut, that I have two nanos out of it, and the one that I'm keeping, I'm kind of curious to see if I could take her to something that's smaller, if she'll throw smaller. I just kind
O-
of it's this whole thing is kind of like
Right.
a giant experiment for me, and that's kind of how I'm
Okay.
treating it. It's like a hypothesis of testing my theories to see
Right.
what I've got. And it's just fun. It's just
Right.
kind of so I don't have the same vision as everyone else because I'm just doing this as a hobby, not as a career. So unlike a lot of other people who mainly focus this as a career, so I'm just kind of dabbling, so to speak.
Okay. So then this is now you opened up a couple different things. So now, the question. So what about the standard? And so does the standard now just kind of go out the window, or are you breeding to the standard, or is it just like an experiment? You know what I mean? And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I'm just trying to figure out, like which way you're going, because you see, you know L in this. Oh, 1 out of 10 breeders wouldn't know what the standards are, and It might have a point, might not. But I don't know. I mean, what's your take on that? I don't.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't know what all the standards are because I haven't looked into
Right.
it because most of my dogs, honestly, I want to bring them to people to give people pets. I want
Pets.
I want them to
Pets.
have I want them to have something that will bring joy to their lives. I mean,
Right.
my dog, like I'll be honest with you, I bought my male Frenchie specifically as a stud because he's a gorgeous dog and he can produce really nice platinums. But he really became attached to my son, and that dog is the most important thing in my son's life. And my son is 3. So this dog, like, he doesn't listen. That dog doesn't listen to me. He doesn't come when I call. He doesn't sit when I tell him to. My son does it all. He does it whenever my son says anything. My son says anything to that dog will listen. If I say something to that dog, he will not listen. If I try to, like, you met him, you met the Frenchie. Like, he was like, no, that dog was an idiot in front with me. But like my son, he can control that dog better than I can. And he's the same way with most of my dogs. And it's just, I feel that a lot of families take pet ownership for granted because by saying, oh, we can't really have a dog right now, and where we're living isn't right or whatever, they don't allow dogs over a certain weight.
Right.
Well, having an animal is so therapeutic unless you have the amount that me or else has. Because, like, the thing is they're very they're very nurturing to you. They have an unbiased opinion about you. They're very loyal. They love you unconditionally. I mean, any animal is like that. I mean, a dog is more like that than any other animal, but
True.
you know,
Very true.
but dogs are just a different type of animal. They're very close. They need that constant contact with you, and they can tell when your emotions aren't in check. I mean, there's dogs in the world that are trained to know when you're about to have a seizure. They're trained to know when there's going to be something
Yes.
that's going to happen in the world, like a hurricane, a tornado, or they know that stuff before we know. So it's one of those
Exactly.
things where it's like you want somebody like that. You want something like that around you because it'll make you feel better. If you're a solo person,
Yeah.
most therapists tell you if you're a depressed person, get a pet. And most of the time they say a dog because cats don't give a shit about you. So,
It's
but yeah.
true. It's true. I had a friend that same way. His doctor told him to get a dog, and he was a vet too, and, a veteran. And they said go get a dog, and the guy got this dog, and this dog was everything to him. Like they were so dialed in, it was just
Mhm.
like amazing, you know. So
Mhm.
I want to kind of shift gears, so because we're kind of moving around, and this is going in a direction I was like, I'm like really getting into. So now, would you say that your whole thing now is a family affair? Daughter, son showing?
Well,
Are they
it's
showing
always been
dogs?
a
I
family
saw.
affair.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always been a
Okay.
family affair. Like I've always like my daughter, she's really big into wanting to do stuff with the animals. So like John and I have already talked
Mm-hmm.
about wanting to try to get them into like teaching them how to stack and show and do all that stuff. So as soon as like the my keeper out of this litter starts getting old enough, so right around 8 weeks, we'll start practicing stacking because she'll be small enough for her to do that with, and we'll get her to start training her to stack, and we'll get the stacking board and all that stuff, and then start getting her to start practicing with that so that she'll know. Because I've been doing those things with her for a while. She knows how to hold the
Right.
dog and stuff like that. She's
Uh-huh.
interested in it. She's interested in it. So she's always been a big animal person. So is
Right.
my son. He's really big into that too. So it's nice. They do really well with the animals, and I mean, heck, my daughter and my son are both the ones that mostly feed the dogs because it's one of those things on their star chart that gets them
Right.
towards being able
Right.
to go do adventures and stuff.
Oh, nice. So they help with the whelping of it and all of that?
So like, my daughter. knows like she knows how to roll over a dog to get her ready to feed the puppies, and she knows how to put the pup. She's 5, okay, and she knows how to put the puppies on
Right.
nipples and things like that. She knows how to feed them. She knows how to do a lot of different things. Like she's really into it, and it's really exciting for her.
Good
So
stuff.
that's how I know. That's how I know both my kids. I mean, my 2 kids fight over who's gonna put the puppies on mom. Like, so I'm like, there's plenty of puppies. Just pick one and go.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So you're more along the lines of just kind of you like breeding and you're breeding them for pets majority of the time. Are you
hmm
like papering them, doing all of that? And then if so, the other question, the other $1 million question is like where your puppy ranges. So somebody off the street or whatever comes in and says, "Hey, I want to get one of the puppies from Bullseye Kennels." How much? What range of puppies are you gonna? Or dollar amount are you gonna say?
So for the papering, I paper all my dogs unless they're going home as pet homes. I don't agree with sending a pet home to a paper with papers, because then that
Right.
gives the person the opportunity to breed it when they only paid for pet
Yes.
home
Correct.
rights.
Right.
I will always have the papers available for someone to say, "Hey, I'll give you the extra 1,000 to be able to have the papers for the full rights."
What if they say they want
Um,
breeding rights? So it's an extra 1,000, and they get to get
it
the paper
it depends on the
and
price of
breeding
the
rights.
dog. So it depends on the price of the
Okay.
dog. So let's say, so my pocket litter that I have. So for
Uh huh.
breeding rights, I'm selling those for 3,500. But for pet homes, they're 2,500. So yes, there's $1,000 difference on those ones.
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
let's say that this litter, right? Somebody wants to buy it as a pet home. Well, I could do 6,000 for a pet home, but if they want them for a breeding home, I want 8,000 for them because of their
Oh, so
bloodline and
you're
things like
talking
that.
about the one you just had with
The donut
Donut
and
and
Mia.
Taz and
hmm
Taz Mia. Okay.
hmm
Okay.
So it all depends. So like, but you see, so like, but it also depends on the breed, the gender of the dog. Like, I know everybody's like, oh, well, females are worth more, whatever, whatever. Well, actually, to me, males are worth more. So the only male I have out of this litter, I'm selling him for 10, and I'm selling him for 10 because of one of 2 reasons. One, because I really want to keep him, and 2, because
Right.
he can produce that money very quickly. That
Yeah.
10K. I mean, you have 10 lock-ins, you're good. You've paid yourself back at that point at
Yeah.
$1,000. And
Yeah.
in that, he's going to be a beautiful bull. He's going to probably look very close to to Donut, if not smaller. So it'll be nice to see what happens. So, so we'll see what
Oh,
happens.
gotcha. All righty. Good. 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 And then any other upcoming litters? Any shows you're going to go to?
Well, I was going to do a breeding to Donut again with one of my females, but I decided to skip that breeding because I have so many puppies right now. But so we're going to be doing that again when she comes back in. And so we have the shows that I'm going to are going to be Bully Bash 4 coming up in July, along with Pull Up and Shut Up Part 2. That'll be a good one
Okay.
too.
Okay.
John and I
Did you
both
get a booth?
have booths
Did
at
you get
both
a booth at
locations.
those at all? Oh, okay.
hmm
Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful. And then what about any shout outs to anybody that's
well, I
any of that? Anything else you want to talk about? All about you.
Well, I def well, I definitely want to give a shout out to John Kindness for getting me on here and introducing me to you, Cam, and I want to give a shout out to, of course, WCBB Bullies, Ton, and try to get him in here eventually because I think he
Yes.
would be a great addition to the communication because he knows everything and
Yeah.
anything about the bully
I think
community.
you're spot on. Yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
spot on too. It's like we need to get some of the heavy hitters as well that are going to help give all of us a
hmm
little bit more insight to help us get better. It's not like we're competition to them anyway. It's him, it's Al,
hmm
it's Bobby. I mean, the list goes on. Drew. it goes on and on and on. But
Mhm.
we need people on there that are going to be able to talk about what they want to do, and to
Yep.
be able to help push
You
the
gotta get
community up. And
you gotta get those kind of people. You gotta get Johnny Flame from Sasquatch as well.
oh,
He's a big guy too. He knows a
and,
lot, and he's
and
got beautiful bulls.
that's what we want to do. And so it's like anything you can do to help kind of steer these guys our way. Like I want to, my goal has been to do one podcast a week, so we have some consistency, because I think consistency is king. So
Mhm.
or queen, or whatever you want. I think it's part of the victory piece. You got to be consistent and when doing this kind of stuff. So that was my goal. And but I want to thank you, Brittney, for taking the time, you know, out of your day and to let us learn and about you, about the person, not just the person walking around, but to learn about that person and be able to kind of, now we know who you are, right? So it's not like you have this persona that we don't know about. That we get the true version of you. So, but
Mhm.
definitely thank you so much for your time. And like I said, tell these guys before, if you like it, subscribe. We want, you're not buying us stars so we can do more content. We want subscribers so we can keep this going. So, but other than that, thank you so much.